or I get dirt on my shoes. I don't mind climbing 8 more floors, 'cause these stairs are all heading to you. I don't wait for tomorrow's sunshine when I feel it today. But when it's cold in the dead of winter, remember that snow melts away. One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance before the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy before we get old. We don't need plans or a fancy agenda. Well, let's just see where it goes. We got no care for the way people stare at the dust and the dirt on our clothes. Hey, my friend, we'll never say
Come on into the Cajun Cooking Experience. Hey, everybody, this is Spuddy. And tonight, we're going to be live tonight because we weren't here last week. Because I was busy last week. It was a good week. But tonight we're going to cook something. You know, it comes a time when we're getting into hurricane season. We base everything off of hurricane season out here in South Louisiana. Time to clean the freezers out. Time to start using some of this food that you have, because if you lose electricity, then you're trying to get generators to run your freezers and all that. So the best thing to do is start cooking it. After you cook it, you can package it and have the cooked food in the freezer so that you have stuff ready to eat. If you have a gas stove, it's easy. Butane stove, it's easy. Dump it out, warm it up, and you're ready to eat. Put you some meals on the side for about a week or 2 weeks. That way you're always ready. And if you don't use it for hurricane, they always make good lunch. Always good supper. It doesn't matter. All right, Jeremy. Hey, Mildred. All right, Michael. So tonight we're going to make this stew. Of course, we're going to start off with a roux. It's been a while since we made a roux over here. So let's go ahead and start off. What I did today, a lot of times I'll make my roux. I'll use lard. I'm out of lard right now. So what I'm using tonight is avocado oil. If you ever want to substitute, avocado oil is one of the oils that work really good. And we got lettuce almost there. Okay, you see how it's bubbling in there? That's what we want. Hey, Lucy. All right. So we're going to get our roux going. May Lord is fire. It's been a while, so I got to work with this fire. So I was just going to do a shrimp and crab stew. And I don't have a lot of crab. I decided to put some fish in for 2 reasons. I have fish in my freezer that's been there over a year, maybe a year and a half. I didn't even know what it was. I defrosted it. It looks like catfish. Here's the second reason. Second reason is you take this fish and you let it break up in here, and it'll give you that crab meat taste in there. I like, when I make a stew, I like to put fish in it. I like that fish to go ahead and break up. Now, if you want to keep it where it stays whole, you put it in closer to the end. You just put some in the beginning and let it break up. Sacrifice fish. One of the things you can do also, if you want it, you can pan fry your fish. If you wanted to pan fry it, if you wanted to batter than fry it, it would help enhance the flavor of your stew. And it would help firm up that fish. Michael, mystery fish stew. All right. Beer for breakfast, facts for snacks. All right. Just subscribe. Watching from Brantford, Ontario. Welcome from Brantford, Ontario. Anytime you get in that Canadian area, that's our people. All right, so we're going to get this going. Now, one of the things I'm going to do also, I can make this stew today, make this a stew, and then tomorrow we're going to eat on this stew. And let's say by the weekend, I've had enough of the seafood stew. I could smother some okra, boil me some turkey necks or whatever I want to put in, make me a good stock, add it onto this stew and bring the smothered okra in, make it into okra seafood gumbo. Nothing wrong with that. I've done it many a times. So you really have 2 dishes working here. That's why I like to start off with a stew and then bring it into okra, make it into a seafood gumbo after. Keep your supply for the whole week. All right, Ronald. Hey, Brianna, what we cooking? We're cooking basically a seafood stew, Brianna. Shrimp, fish, and I've got some a few ball crabs that I'm going to throw in there. I didn't have a lot of crabs, so basically it's mostly fish and shrimp. And it gives me a good reason to start getting this stuff out my freezer and start using it. Because if you lose electricity, one of the first things that's going to go bad is what? It's gonna be your seafood. Okay? Brianna, shrimp etouffee over here. Nothing wrong with a good etouffee. One thing about etouffee, it's a really quick dish to cook. It depends how you cook it. And it's so damn good. Brianna, you cooking it with using butter to make it? Hey, Jill. Because some people will use lard, some people will use regular cooking oil, but I like to use butter when I make my etouffees. Gives it that little sweeter taste. Okay, I've got my roux just about like I want it. How do we know? Let's take a peek in the pot. See how it's coming together? We've got that really smooth coming together. Kind of like when you pull down the canal and you watch the water just come back together. Okay. What kind of fish? Ronald, I think it's catfish. It's a big bag of fish I found in my freezer. It looks like, that means I probably got it from my brother. And it looks like when he filleted it, it might have kept a couple of little pieces of skin on it. And by that skin, I could tell it's catfish. He left a little bit of evidence. Hey, Virginia. All right, turkey neck. Snapper tacos on the menu tonight in front basket. Go ahead, brother. So turkey neck got us some snapper over there and making us some tacos. That's what I call a Cajun taco. Okay, got a little flour in my salt there. You see when you just take it out. So, we're putting all these seafoods in. We think about crabs. How long have crabs been around? They think crabs been around probably 200 million years. That's the evidence they get from fossils. Commercially, crabbing dates back to about 1930. So it's very new to us. But it really took off in the 1950s. Now, out here, probably in our Cajun country, we were probably eating crabs before the world because that was just part of our seafood heritage. But the rest of the world was a little slow catching on to what the seafood that we ate. And of course, one of the best ways I like crabs is boiled crabs. Hey, Ty. All right, David. What's up, Galen? And turkey neck says that crab can live up to 10 years. Now, that I didn't know. Now, I would say the odds are against it because they're probably going to get caught. But I didn't know a crab could actually live that long. I know some old crabs that lived a lot longer. Brianna, you ever grill them? I have never tried to grill them. I heard they're very good, though. All right. We're starting to get into our little blonde roux now. Got our little different stages that we're going through. And all these roux, most crabs we eat around 3 to 5 years old. All right, turkey neck, how often do they shed? And if you can catch them in the shedding process, you have soft shell crabs. And when we used to buy crabs, when the fisherman's catching them, they're looking for a pinkish color on the backside. That means they get ready to bust. Those busters are valuable because they'll sell that to people who are making soft shell crabs. Blue crabs up here about the size of a crawfish. Around them. You sure that's a crab? That's not very big. I wonder why we're sending y'all blue crabs up there. David, turkey necks are a good way to catch crabs too. So David, I'm glad you brought that up. Now, turkey necks over here to us. Turkey necks used to give them away. Nobody wanted them. Ooh, great for crab bait. Now, turkey necks they're 20 times the cost that it used to be from when I went in business. Maybe 25 times the cost. Jeremy, haven't eaten all day. I'd eat that wooden spoon if I had it. Jeremy, you ought to be right here next to me, brother. Michael says his wife tells him he's crabbing. Like I said, old crabs live long. I go to the supermarket and just laugh my butt off. Yeah, Ronald, we spoil. We are very spoiled with our seafood out here. There's not many people that I know that have the access to seafood like we have. Now, in the last 15, 20 years, price of seafood's going up. And I just, I always hope that the fishermen's getting the bulk of this because they're the ones doing all the work. Some crabs shed more than one time a month. Most older crabs shed once a month. And once they shed, that's when they're most vulnerable until they can start growing that new shell. It doesn't take long to grow that new shell. Yeah, we are blessed, Ronald. Now, there's evidence that Neanderthals about 90,000 years ago, they may have eaten crabs at that time. Now, I can't tell you what they look like. I'm sure they weren't boiling them. But one thing about crabs, they're a good source of protein. So they probably would have cooked them. We're talking about putting them on a grill. They probably would have been putting them on an open fire to eat those crabs. That'd have been one way they'd have eaten a lot of foods. And of course, the Native Americans, they showed the Europeans when they came over how to catch the crabs using nets, lines, and traps. Because Native Americans they were people that lived off the land. They knew how to do things. Europeans came over, they didn't know a damn thing. Hey, Lucian, on vacation in Arkansas this week, making barbecue shrimp and grits for these Arkansas folks. Barbecue shrimp and grits, man, you're gonna have them people spoiled, 10 pounds heavier, but they're gonna be happy. Want some Chinese shrimp? CNR Seafood Louisiana Shrimp Company, LLC. I don't want no Chinese shrimp. But you're talking about Chinese and shrimp. One of the things that was big out here at one time, I just say, Sharon, St. Rose is missing me. I love it. Is that the Chinese in San Francisco and also in Grand Isle in different parts of Louisiana, one of the things they would do with shrimp, they would come down here, catch shrimp, dry the shrimp, and then ship them back to China. China and a lot of Asian countries were huge. They were a big user of dry shrimp. But you got to remember, before refrigeration, you either hurry up and ate that shrimp, or you had to dry it and make dry shrimp out of it. And so a lot of people were cooking with the dry shrimp. A lot of recipes. And that was the only way you had shrimp until you can actually start it. They came up with the canning process, which was before the refrigeration. Sharon, how's everything out there in St. Rose? Okay, now we're getting to our dark blonde roux right here. So we're getting good. Now we talk about fishing. Okay, so fishing goes way back, 40,000 years ago, where ancient fishing was taking place, the ancient practice of fishing. But the first recorded instance of fishing might be 30,000 BC by the Neanderthals, and they were actually fishing in a river in Germany. Imagine that. Hey, old boy, having a shit. What you say, Ken? It's been a while, my brother. Look, this has been a pretty good summer because I've been getting jobs and staying busy. So some weeks I'm on, some weeks at the last minute I go, oh man, I can't do it tonight. But just keep an eye out for my notification that I'm coming on live. I had some good tours last week. Man, it was just awesome. From the boats, had 2 tours Tuesday and 2 tours Thursday. It was some long, hot days, but I love it. Hey, Pam. Yeah, I got the magazine. It was awesome. Thank you, Pam. Of course, my guys over here were hating on me, but that's all right. I told them don't hate. Now, one of the primitive ways of catching fish, and it was the main way to catch fish until recent years, was spearing. Spearing was the way that they caught fish. So these guys had to really be good. Walking in the water and being able to feel it, just get the feel to spear that fish. That was the way they ate. Up until modern times when we started getting seines where they could start dragging, or traps, and then early 1900s, we started getting the fishing pole so people could start fishing and it'd be recreation. And that fishing is huge right now. And Pam, you was talking about the magazine and the paper, right? But I did get that. We got in New Orleans, in the French Quarter. If you ever go to Cafe du Monde and walk that strip behind Cafe du Monde, up until the 30s, that was all fish markets and meat markets. Imagine fish coming in every day and they're processing that fish, cleaning it. You could buy it whole. You could buy fish on the hoof, like I call it. And every day they were bringing fish in. A lot of times they would have to take fish and smoke the fish so they could preserve it. And one of the things that was really good fish to smoke, wasn't good for a lot of other stuff, was garfish. You take garfish, really hard to clean, but you smoke the garfish, fillet it, smoke the meat, and smoke the bones. And it really makes some good dishes with that. Yeah, that's the one I got it, Pam. And our local paper, Pam's talking about our local paper, did a big story on the riverboat American Cruise Line that's docking in Vassar right now. And I was in it because I am a tour guide on those buses some days. And it was a really good article. And it's a big deal because people from all over the United States are coming here and getting to see Vassar and getting to know our history and our culture. Which end of the garden do you like? The right end, David. Ken, we're making a seafood stew. Okay, look at the pot. I've got the roux, the color I wanted. I don't want to go any darker than this, okay? What do you say, Brian? We're going to bring our onions in. And you want to let these onions cook a little bit. You want to get that sweetness out of there. My buddy Timmy said they're coming to see me. See? Timmy got it right. They were coming to see me. I appreciate that, Timmy. I know that was a smart remark, but that's all right. I'll take it. Ken, come on and get one, man. It's going to be here tomorrow, brother. And Ken, we're doing this just to clean out the freezer. We're starting to clean this freezer out. Okay. I'm going to bring my celery in. And man, I'm going to bring some mushrooms. Got to have mushrooms in my stew. Also, I took some hors-d'oeuvre and I cut it. It's a small case of hors-d'oeuvre I have. And I actually cut it in small pieces. Like I cut it in half. So that way it can cook real good in here and you're not chewing a lot. It's not big medallions, it's small pieces. When I make a stew, that's the way I like it in there. I can see Spuddy giving a tour with their black iron potted butter butts. Ronnie just gave me an idea though. So when they should change the name of Vassar to Spudland. Man, I'm liking the way y'all thinking over there. So when I give a tour, people say, man, what do you say? We're only going from the old ferry ramp, if you're familiar with that, to Oak Alley. So it's max 3 miles. So you speed talking. But on the way there, I'm giving them the history as we pass different locations. It's amazing the amount of history in those 3 miles. But on the way back, I talk about our Cajun food and I also then I'll end it with our Cajun words that we have, our Cajun, our slang words that nobody else uses. And always get them laughing. So at the end of the tour, when we pull them up to the boat, to the dock, for them to get back on the boat, they leave off the bus laughing. And that's one thing that I appreciate when I go if I go on a tour, is that not only I get true history, but I get a little comedy in it. All right. Now I'm going to bring these bell peppers in. Cook this down a little more. Jeremy, Spuddy, what meats are you adding to the stew? Just now turning on the live stream. Jeremy, we're going to be adding fish, shrimp, and a few crab bodies. When I say a few, that's all I had. Normally, I would put more. And the fish is going to help me, really it'll help me get that crab meat taste in here. Brianna, we can't hear you. Uh-oh. My sound should be good. Anybody else having trouble hearing? So now you're a comedian too. Now you got it, Lucy. Okay, we got good volume. Brianna, check it on your end. Is the car dealership still near the ramp? Yes. Yes. So it's one of the, but believe it or not, when I tell them that's one of the oldest car dealerships in the United States, they're pretty amazed at that. We take that for granted, but that's a pretty amazing thing that we've got one of the oldest in the United States right there. 4th generation family in there. So that is pretty amazing. You froze up a few seconds, but all good now. Thank you, Joanne. Loud and clear in Mobile. I just said, Terry. Thank you, brother. Okay, now we want to get this balling. One of the things to remember when you get a roux balling, keep it moving. But the second thing is it has to ball for at least 15 minutes. You want to get those enzymes and starches dissolved in there. If you don't, then you're going to get that little gritty taste. Tastes like sandpaper in your stew. Cheers. Got my Pearl Harbor Hawaii glass there. My middle child daughter brought me back when she went and jump out of an airplane. They call it skydiving. Thank you, kid. All right. So now once we get this thing boiling, it's going to start sticking it up. Now, one of the things I'm going to put in here, you're going to give me another bag of these, the dry shrimp. So 1915, David. That's when Koznov opened. It was 1915. So, dry shrimp. I had a whole bag, but I was hungry up here. If you ever want to start eating something that's good and kind of can't eat just one, it's dry shrimp. And one of the things dry shrimp really goes good with is a cold beer. It's amazing. Hey, Ron, I appreciate that, brother. Going to Portugal for 4 weeks. Yeah, I said, Ronald, send me a big prayer in Fatima. I need it. All right. Now, some people don't like the dry shrimp in their stew, and the only reason is because it looks like they don't like the way it looks in the stew. So here it is. And I'm chewing some of it. But you think about that, that was one of the only ways to have fish. For them to export it to China, bring it back to Asia, this is the only way they could do it. And they would take this shrimp, these shrimp, and they put it on tin outside in the sun. And every day they'd have to go work it, just turn it and rake it. But if it started raining, they had to bring it back in the packing shed so it wouldn't get wet. It wouldn't get wet. Wait for it to stop raining and bring it back in the sun. It was a lot of work. Then they walk on the shrimp. They would walk on the shrimp, or they put it in the sacks and beat it to get the hulls off. Once they got the hulls off, it was ready to ship off. Now imagine doing that outside, walking on it, beating it with a stick, and selling it. Ain't gonna pass the board of health today. Does dry shrimp still have the shell on it? It doesn't, Edward. It doesn't have the shell on it. They usually knock that off. I'm not saying it doesn't have any, but pretty much the shrimp, the shell is off of it. Now, one of the things, they'll do this with small shrimp right now, and then the dust, all the stuff that's knocked off, they'll take it and pulverize it, and that's what you get the shrimp dust with. So they'll take this and use the small shrimp, But back in the day, it was all shrimp they were doing it with. So you had some good sized dry shrimp. What you say, Mark? Oh, thank you, brother. Ever been to Faith Family Shrimp Company in Cocodrie? They distribute and give tours of fresh and dry shrimp. I have not been to that, Brianna, but that would be a good tour. Absolutely. All the time I've been out there in Cocodrie, I didn't even know that existed. You got it, Edwin? So, but talking about shrimping, when we came here to people coming to the United States, Lake Pontchartrain, all the bayous that they could walk in or ride a small boat in, they would pull a seine behind it. Seines were those seines were imported from France probably. And the two guys would get on each end and pull it and then get their catch of shrimp. They'd have done that in the shallow lakes or in the shallow bayous. Then, of course, later on, it got where you had motors on the boats, and then you had bigger boats, and now you have boats that stay offshore for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, sometimes a month. Thank you, Kim. It's by the marina. Oh, okay, Brianna. And it's still there after that hurricane. They did good. What'd you say, Alan? Thank you, brother. So, but up until 1949, the only way to peel shrimp was to peel shrimp by hand. So as they got to the process of canning shrimp, and then we started with refrigeration, we could take our shrimp and we can pack them and freeze them and have them all year round. Problem was everything was hand peeled. So you were peeling. This process, it was very labor intensive. And that made it very expensive. So they had a guy. He had a packing house in Grand Collier and called Grand Collier Packing House, Packing Company. And he told his son one day, and his son was, I think, around 16 years old. He told him, his name was James. He said, James, you want to make a lot of money? Invented a piece of equipment that will peel the shrimp. So in 1943, somewhere around there, he started making drawings. He started designing this thing. So he knew what he wanted. He started experimenting with it. So one day in church, he's sitting in church. He's not really paying attention to what's going on. He's thinking about this, and this thought came to him. Squeeze him out. He hurried, ran to the shrimp to his packing house. He took some shrimp, put it on the ground, and with his boots, he stepped on the outside, and he popped them out the shell. From there, he took some shrimp home. He asked his mom to use the little wringer for washing clothes, and he passed the shrimp through the wringer and set at different pressures, and it popped the shrimp out. And that's the design. Based on that, he designed in 1949. He put the first shrimp peeling machine on the market. But of course, they put it in their packing house, and it changed the whole industry. From 1949 and all, you didn't need all the peelers anymore because all the machines were peeling the shrimp now. And if you've never been to a shrimp factory, because I used to go to Deluxe years ago, and you just see these little plates moving at the top, and they're keeping the shrimp moving in rollers, and those rollers are popping the shrimp from their shell. The office is now a camp. We stay there, and the current owner is Tony. Okay, I remember Tony LaRaparouse. I remember that name. Because I used to go out down the bayou my first 20 years in business. I used to dry 20, 25 pounds of shrimp every other year. I use 80, 100 count to dry. That's pretty much what they're using, Kim. They're using the real small shrimp. And you know, when you had hand peelers, problem was, as long as they was peeling big shrimp, they were okay. But when they had to peel them little bitty shrimp, a lot of times they would just walk out. They didn't like peeling the little shrimp. So that's when you just pretty much had to dry them. Okay, we got our little stew here. We just roll it right along. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna bring in a little bit of shrimp. I'm gonna call these shrimp, I'm gonna call these my sacrifice shrimp. And this is just gonna add some flavor in here. Now my fish, I really don't care if they break up or not. So I'm gonna put most of the fish in here, because I want most of it to break up. And I'll save a few pieces later so that we can have some whole shrimp in there. I just checked and got my copy of St. James Magazine today. I'll bring it for the I'll bring it in August. I'll get you to for you to autograph. So if Tim Becknell's still on, he didn't want my autograph, but listen, I got people who want autograph, Timmy. I appreciate that, David. I tell you, that tour guide, it's just a blast. That's all I can say. So after that, him, the James, his brother, and his dad, they opened another company to make just the equipment to sell throughout the United States. You know, all throughout the southern United States and all, wherever people were peeling shrimp. They even wound up putting an office in New Orleans. That's how popular they got. That's how big it got. Like I just said, Sassy, it's Christmas in July. I am. So Sassy's asking about hosting Christmas in July. So St. James Parish does something called Christmas in July. And we are going to, when it all wraps up, people wind up over here, eat a little jambalaya, kind of a little networking thing. Everybody gets together. It's a pretty neat deal. And they were looking somewhere in the West Bank this year. And we don't have a lot of places left. People that are in business that have the space to hold, but we have about 60 people or more. So they asked me to do it. And, oh, hell yeah, we're going to do it. So Christmas in July. I like Christmas in July better than Christmas in December. Oh, I got you, Ronald. Let's see, you boil them, dry them, and put them in an onion sack and beat the heads off the shell with the stick. There you go. There's Kim still doing it live. I didn't know there was anybody still actually drying their own shrimp. And Kim, you dry them on a piece of tin? You got it, Sassy? Okay. Now my stock right here. Let me tell you about my stock. When I peeled these crabs, I took the shells. I used those crab shells and some of the crab claws, and I put them ball in my stock. And then I had some chicken in there, some chicken necks to help make my stock. And then also, I put a little, I put the ends of my onions and celery in there. So I've got a really good stock right here for this. And normally, I would put a little bit crab ball in this thing. But the crabs that I'm going to put in were ball crabs. And they're well seasoned. So I should get that little crab ball taste from the crabs. Because I have to be careful. I don't want to overdo the crab ball flavor. And right now, it's all about letting this cook. One thing you don't want to do, you don't want to rush this. Normally, if I would be here, we wouldn't be pushing to get this done in an hour. I'd put this thing on a little blue, and I would let it sit there and just slow cook for about maybe half hour, 40 minutes. Just let it slow cook, let this gravy thicken up, and then come back and start adding my shrimp and crabs in. And since these crabs are bald, they're going to be the last thing to go in. You know, we're just going to put all the fish in. This is going to, we did a job. A little bloop, that's it, Michael. Made a rack with screens on each side, put them in there, and throw them on the roof for a few hours. There you go. So Kim's talking about the dry shrimp. Just made a rack with screens on each side. Throw it on the roof. Can't get any hotter than that. Put it up there for a few hours, dry them off real good. We did this same kind of thing at Beck's at the Lake. This was during COVID. When I was doing this, I put some fish in there and I let the fish break up. I had a young lady told me after she was eating it, she goes, man, that's the best stew I've ever eaten. You really put a lot of crab meat in it. I put zero crab meat in it. It was the fish that broke up, and it gave it an awesome crab meat taste. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I can't afford crab meat no more. Crab meat I used to buy for $10 a pound is now $30 a pound. I'll use the fish my brother caught. Screen keeps the flies off and throw them on the roof so the cats won't get them. Good idea. Okay. You want this to just keep on boiling. Now I'm gonna start adding a little seasoning to it. Now, you talk about shrimping. You got the practice of shrimp farming. A lot of places in the world, they farm shrimp, especially in your Asian countries, down in South America, some places. You can buy shrimp, pond-raised catfish they call them, but they actually farm-raised, like they farm-raised crawfish in the rice fields. And that dates back to probably maybe 6,000 BC in ancient China, so all that area. And those shrimp were raised in ponds and also in the rice paddies. We raise our crawfish in the rice fields. They were raising shrimp in their rice fields. And every time you see me stirring, what you say, Randy? Brother, you know that French bread's around the corner. So every time I stir, two things I want to make sure it's stirred good. Second thing, I want to make sure I have nothing sticking in this pot. That flour and oil, until that flour is well dissolved in here, you can get a little sticking going on. Or if this thing gets too thick. All right, give them cane farmers a little loving. Got to give the cane farmers a little loving. Sugar cane's growing so fast, I walk every morning, I can hear it growing. That cane's growing so fast, it's telling me good morning in the morning. A little red pepper, a little pinch of black pepper, and a little pinch of salt, 2 pinches of salt. Mama Rose watching. Okay. And my fish is holding together pretty firm. Now I'm going to start tasting for seasoning. I believe some Michael, the sourdough bread is actually at my house and I keep forgetting to bring it. It would be excellent in here because I still have about half of it left. I slice it every now and then. And look, they're so big, that one piece may last me like 2 or 3 days because I really had to cut back on the bread, but it is delicious. And if y'all don't know, Michael sent me some sourdough bread that he made. It's pretty awesome. I've been supposed to bring it here to use it on the show. But it never leaves my house. Here, you see, here in El Paso, Texas, they sell dry shrimp, but it's still in the shell, and people just eat the shell and all. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of them may knock the shell off. Most of them will knock the shell off, but some may just dry and leave the shell on. Once it's dried, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Oh boy. So you're starting to pick up that fish and shrimp taste in there. I can taste a little bit crab ball from my stock, from boiling those crab shells. And if you want a little bit more of the crab ball taste, then all you do is get you a little, and if you put crab ball in here, a couple drops, especially concentrated in the bottle, Zatarain's in the bottle, watch that stuff. Or if you get the powder, you can put a little bit more, but be careful, or this thing want to taste like a boiled stew. You don't want that. But a little hint of it is okay. I'm gonna add a little bit more hot sauce. Michael, I'm like you. They got shells on them. It's okay with me. Look, when they have fried shrimp, you get fried shrimp, butterfly shrimp in the restaurant, and you have the tails at the end, nobody wants them. They pile them up on my plate. We was on a cruise recently, and the waiter saw me eating those things, and he asked me why I was eating them. And I told him those crab tails are known to work better than Viagra. He said he's going to start eating them now. And look, that's a true story. So every night when he came to our table, he asked me if I was eating crab tails. I mean shrimp tails. It's just like the fins of a fish. You fry that fish crispy, fins of the fish. I want that. And the little fins on the back, I want that. Hey, Crystal, we got a little seafood stew going, Crystal. Shrimp, and fish, and a little bit crab. You see my fish is still holding up. But you can see it's starting to break apart. You see this one right here starting to break. Get another little taste. Oh yeah, Alan. I had that old way to go in that cruise. Ooh. Best part about it, tomorrow, this steps up 10 times better than this today. Oh yeah. Man, it's getting close to that time. Now what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring the rest of my shrimp in. Now when I'm doing my shrimp in a stew, anytime I put shrimp in a stew, I like them to cook in there at least 10, 15 minutes. You know, some things like you boil shrimp, 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on the size, they're done. When I'm cooking them in a stew, I like them to go a little longer because I want them to cook real well. That's something that's everybody's preference. Everybody likes something a little different. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll put a little parsley in here right now. Then I save a little bit for the end. Oh, one of the things in my style, instead of cutting up the parsley, the sticks on them, and cutting them up fine, I just took the sticks and boiled them in here. It helped make a stock. Oh, and I also had my bay leaf in here too. I like to boil my bay leaf in my stock only because I don't have to go searching for it in here. Jean, you doing any boiled eggs? I tell you what, when we eat it tomorrow night, remind me, I'll put some boiled eggs in it. But I forgot about putting eggs in here. But that's something that's common out here, is to put some boiled eggs or put some poached eggs in your stew. Very, very, very common. Man, go give me 4 eggs out the icebox. 5, it ain't. We're going to put some poached eggs in here at the end. That's something I didn't think of. Thank you, Turkey Neck. I want this thing to get back to a boil. Now, Monday, if you get a chance, if you live around here, ride the River Road in Reserve. They're getting ready to open a new library in Reserve in St. John Parish. Look, I never thought I would pass the library and say, wow, totally amazing. Something to see. And I'll be out there Monday cooking some jambalaya. Okay? So now what we're going to do, when this thing is finished, we're going to add some poached eggs in it. This worked really well. This gives it an extra flavor. I like to put these eggs in here and let them poach in here. Put them right there on the plate. Now, normally I would have my eggs broken. So I'm going to have to break them over this pot so we may get some eggshells in here. But that's all right. I'm trying to get this shrimp. I want to get it back to a boil. I want to see what the flavor is going to be now that I've added all my shrimp in. With this amount of shrimp, this whole flavor is going to change. Then at the end, when I add my eggs, I'm going to put these crabs in. Why hadn't I put them in? Because it's too early yet. These crabs are boiled already. But I'm going to throw one in there just so it can actually boil in there and throw a little flavor. Some people don't like the crab bodies in because they don't like peeling them in a stew. I love it. If you don't like doing that, then take them and maybe just boil them in your stock. But put them in a stew. You don't have to eat it, but it does give a good flavor. Whether they're raw crabs or whether they're boiled crabs. It's going to give your stew a good flavor. Don't get turned off because it's hard to eat them. Yeah, they messy and they sloppy, and you better have a wet towel. But that's what I love about it. Okay. You can take a look in that pot now. You see it's starting to come back to a boil. Now I'm going to give me a little flavor. Give me a little flavor taste. All right. Yo, come on back with me. Oh, hell yeah. Now I'm going to bring in a little bigger dish. Michael, come and get some, brother. Ooh. Man, one thing bad is hot. Mm-mm-mm. Man, how about melting your mouth and not in your hands? This is better. It's better than them things that melt in your mouth and not in your hands. Man, I'm gonna bring a little bit more hot sauce in. Now, if you wanted to, some people add tomatoes in here. They'll add some Rotel, or maybe add a little crushed tomatoes in it. If you want to, you could add maybe a little tomato sauce if you want in it. Only reason I'm not adding that because I may want to turn it into a gumbo after. But if it's just a stew, add just some crushed tomatoes or Rotel. It's not a bad thing in here. Want to make plans to come around down just a matter of when? Just let me know, Michael. Shit. You come at the right night, man. You can come over and just cook with me. I'm going to bring a little bit of rice in it. Because I want to see what the flavor's like with the rice. You know, when you taste the seasoning, also put you some rice in it because you want to make sure you have enough seasoning for your rice. Don't over season it because remember, tomorrow this thing is going to kick, this season is going to kick in here. Oh, yeah. But yeah, Hollywood. A little bit more salt. Another pinch of black pepper. And that should do it. Crabs are coming in really soon, Ronald. Now, if these were live crabs, these were raw, I'd be putting them in right now, okay? Give them a little time. You want to give them about at least 5 minutes to boil in here. Bullfly, I know you can smell it over there. Vodka Rim. You go ahead and bring that in. I really can't hurt them. I'm going to check my fish. What I want to see that fish is starting to break apart. See right here? Catfish. Okay. One more taste in that French bread. Woo! Oh, hell yeah. Now, before I bring my egg in, because once I bring that egg in, I can't go around here too much. I'm going to bring me a little bit in here. You see my fish in here. Now it's time to break. Oh, yeah, Bones. Bones, time for you to get out here, brother. 1, 2, 3. I have no idea if I'm getting shells in there or not. But I'm probably not. Because y'all know I am a professional. Okay. Now when you stir, you want to be very gentle. And let that just go ahead. Once them eggs are poached, this stew is done. Finger licking good. Let's see what this stew is tasting like now. Absolutely, Hollywood. Oh. Hollywood, my tour went great. What type of fish you use? Alan, this looks like catfish. I think my brother Mike caught this catfish for me. Yeah. Oh. Look at this. Now, tonight, it's thick, but it's a little on the thin side. Remember, I'm cooking this for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I probably got to add water to thin this out. It's going to thicken up a lot tomorrow. So keep that in mind. If I wanted to serve it today, I may have to thicken it up a little more today. Let it cook a little more. I'm using this tomorrow. That's the main time we're going to eat it. In that case, this is perfect. I have my gravy perfect. Not fast, buddy. You eating the stew, and I'm eating Italian ice. Ronald, that's the best Italian ice I've ever eaten. Yeah. Rest of that pasta in. Get them eggs. Want to check them eggs now. But just be careful. We'll take a look in the pot now. All right, you see you see right here. You see where that egg is. There's the egg right here. That's your poached egg. And believe it or not, Hollywood, where's Elaine? Not in the camera. Hollywood, the touring went real well, not bad. All right. Make sure I got all my comments. Okay, this is basically it. Remember, this stew's gonna be a lot better tomorrow. You see the yellow in the egg is still a little runny, so it can cook a little more. If you like your poached egg running, right now it's done. But this is gonna continue to cook. Even after I turn it off, this is gonna continue to cook. So it's gonna be all right. Everything blended in well. I got some of the fish starting to break up. The crabs are done. We're gonna shut it down. So here's your seafood stew. I've taken a lot of stuff out the freezer so that now I can put this in containers and pack it away. So let's say we do lose electricity for a week. Hopefully we don't see a hurricane, but if we do lose electricity for a week, I've got containers of food ready to warm up. Put it all in one freezer. I've only got to worry about one freezer running. And then I can go back on my stove, on my gas stove, or on my butane burner up here, and I can cook food every day. I don't have to start from scratch. Because at the time when the hurricane passed and you're out of electricity, you don't have time to sit there and cook from scratch. You've got things to do, so it makes it really easy. Thank you, David. David, got to make some soon, brother. Elaine, you and your cousin gonna be on the show one night.
Oh yeah, Hollywood, she's doing backflips over here. So, y'all, that's it.
Y'all do cook one, put it on there. I don't know if I'm gonna be here next week because we may have something going on Wednesday night for 4th of July. I'm not positive. Just keep an eye out there. But in the meantime, if you have any ideas, something you want me to cook, bring it out there like Brianna did a few weeks ago, because that dish she told me was absolutely awesome. But pretty soon we're gonna have some smothered okra coming. I was supposed to do smothered okra last Wednesday. I didn't, so I smothered it, and it's almost gone now. We just about wiped it out. Smothered okra with ground meat, green onion ground meat, and we had the green onion ground meat and ground pork. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. So just another idea. We'll be doing it pretty soon. So y'all, thank y'all. If we don't see y'all next week, we'll see y'all the week after. If I don't see y'all next week, have a great 4th of July. Love y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you, Brian. And checking out.
Don't get me wrong, I love my life. These concrete walls, these city lights. What I'm about to say, it won't make no sense, but I gotta get it off my chest.